my desire to see change. So change, because if you change one person, that then changes their behaviour at home, that changes their kids, that changes, you know, the attitude of the community.
Seeing someone that has a breakthrough, who might have spent, you know, most of their life on parole or an order, and finally seeing them come out the other side, or whether they've finally stopped using drugs, or, you know, they're not using violence as a response anymore, that's huge, and that keeps you here.
You are very well supported and benefited by the New South Wales Government, and within the Community Corrections organisation, you're actually well supported.
So with opportunities, there is a lot of room for growth. So you might start as a community corrections officer, and then you might go to a unit leader position, which is kind of the one above. You can go to a different role. We've got drug court, you know, there's extended supervision, so monitoring a smaller caseload but really high risk offenders. Like, there's a lot of opportunity for different roles.
My job, put simply, at Community Corrections is to look after people who are sentenced by the court or coming out of jail, to monitor their behaviour so they comply with their order, and to help them change their behaviour so that they do not reoffend.
As a Community Corrections officer, we look after people who are subject to a Community Corrections order, parole, so they've gone into jail, they've served their time there, and they come out to be looked after by us.
I can give them time to talk. I listen to their stories, and some of their stories are really interesting. And I might be the first person they've ever spoken to about some of their risk factors and things like that. And then I'm able to work with them to get them to change or modify their behaviour, just to break the cycle of reoffending.
What you also do is you actually go and visit offenders in their home. You will do telephone calls, you will contact third parties, so you're working with other agencies, so like police, FACS, housing, drug and alcohol, mental health, so we're all coming together for a collaborative approach.
A lot of our job is writing case notes, so every conversation you have, whether it's with your offender, their family member, psychologist, whoever, everything is case noted. The administrative side, there's a lot of paperwork, and I don't think people realise that as much as you would think. So, you know, trying to catch up on everything, and the workload sometimes can feel a little bit oppressive, and, you know, it's busy, but you get through it with the support of your colleagues, and, you know, it's a real team environment, which is nice. And then probably the other thing, the nature of the job. So some of the things you are reading, it can be really quite heavy.
In regards to boundaries with the relationship with an offender, you have to set it right at the beginning. You have to set that boundary that you are their officer, and that you're there to not only help them, but to monitor their behaviour.
To be a good community corrections officer, you need to be fair, you need to be balanced, you need to be passionate about the job. You also need to have an open mind. You know, we talk about all our values like service and trust and accountability and integrity, and those things are really important for someone to have.
To be a community corrections officer, you definitely need strong communication skills.
Skills that a community corrections officer need is to be flexible, to be trustworthy, to be reliable, honest, hardworking. You have to be able to work in a team, and your communication skills have to be excellent.
Time management is a massive skill, because you need to be on the ball. You can plan your entire day, and every chance it won't go that way. Another skill, thick skin sometimes, because, you know, not everyone likes being on parole. I don't think anyone likes being on parole sometimes, and, you know, you are that person that they see as parole. So if they take their frustration out, they might be having a bad day, they're frustrated, they might get a little bit hostile or angry at the world, at themselves, at you. And you need to be okay with that and kind of manage that situation and not take anything personally.
I love my job. It's very rewarding. I see so much change. He hasn't gone back to jail. might be for the first time in his life that he is able to stay in the community, be able to father his children, might be able to have a job.
I've become passionate about helping these offenders rehabilitate their lives and get back on track. And I think it's very important that they have a second chance and that we can do whatever we can do to help them.
I keep coming back to the job because the little wins. Like, again, as I was saying earlier, sometimes change doesn't happen overnight, and sometimes you can feel like you are hitting your head against a brick wall and doing the same thing with an offender over and over. But when that penny sets, drops, they've had that moment of clarity, it's huge.